everyone. So it's a Sunday again, and we get to light another candle here on our Advent wreath. Let's start with that. 1, 2, and 3. And today I'd like to talk about one of the joys of going out in winter here in Vienna. I think most tourist guides will suggest doing just that, namely going to a typical Viennese café, like we see here, the café Hawelka. So Vienna coffee houses have been around for quite a while, and there's a difference between a coffee shop. Of course, you have a lot of these modern coffee shops and one of these really traditional coffee houses. They used to be really almost a social institution where people would meet. It would be like a living room away from home, where you could spend hours or entire nights talking to other artists or journalists or philosophers. Today, of course, it's a little different, but you can still spend a lot of time there. You will see students working there during the day. Just about anyone dropping in the afternoon or in the evening. Or a cup of coffee or something sweet. And over here you can see this is a little outdated. For a long time you could smoke in these coffee houses. It's not allowed anymore, which I think most people are quite glad about. You can also see the furniture here, which is very, very typical. These are toned chairs. We can also see that here on the little coat hanger. And it's overall a very warm and cozy atmosphere. This is Mr. Hawelka, who ran that place for a long time, together with his wife. Some parts can really be quite cozy, not too bright. Whereas by the windows you have enough light to read a newspaper or maybe work on your paper or just think about your day. But of course there are many different cafes. And I know that most tourist guides seem to suggest only 2. So today I want to show you a couple of others that you can visit. And for that we have a little map. So we have the center of Vienna here. There's the Hofburg, here's the Donau Canal, and then here we have the inner districts. Now, if you take a stroll through the inner city, you usually find queues in front of 2 different cafes. One would be this one here, in front of Café Sacher, and the other one would be Café Central, which would be this one here, so close to the Hofburg. And they're both very beautiful cafes, but there's no reason for you to queue outside when there's plenty of other cafes that you can visit too. The first one listed here we've already looked at, Café Hawelka. It's almost a little hidden here, just around the corner from the cathedral. On the other side you have Café Coop, and number 3 would be Café Bräunerhof. This is one of my favorites. You basically just walk through the Hofburg, then around the corner. And it's easy to get lost around here. You quickly get to very small streets and plenty of corners leading off in all kinds of directions. And then in the middle you have Café Bräunerhof. Let's see if we have a photo. So this is one corner. You can see there's some very cozy places. And I think to this day you can only pay cash there. They don't take card. Number 4 unfortunately does not exist anymore. This is Café Greensteindl. I think it closed before it was reopened, and then today I think there's either a shop in there or a grocery store. The grocery store might be right next to it here. This is a shame because it's a very beautiful space, and the entire area here is absolutely gorgeous. It's the entrance to the Hofburg, and then here you walk off to Kurmarkt. And then here, this is another place where you might have a queue. They didn't put a number, but they did put a picture. This is Dimmel, which I guess isn't a cafe. Primarily, you can go there to have cafe. But it's also just a big store where you can buy specialty chocolates. And it's definitely worth at least walking past. It looks absolutely gorgeous. A little bit like in a Wes Anderson movie. So it's definitely worth visiting. Right, this would be the Café Central I mentioned, where you usually have a queue outside. You can see here, this would be a piano. So sometimes you have live piano music. And the chairs look like they might be with a Wiener Geflecht, so a specific kind of pattern. Number 8 is on the other side of the Hofburg. This is the Café Brasserie Palmenhaus. So this is a glass house in Art Nouveau style. Again, I don't know if I'd count this as a typical Viennese coffee house, but it's absolutely gorgeous and definitely worth visiting. The Hofburg would be right here, so you can look across and you have a big park. And when the sun comes out in March or April, the entire terrace is usually full with people trying to get some warmth from the first rays of the sun. Next to the cafe, in this part of the glass house, there's the butterfly house, which you can visit. There's different kinds of butterflies in there, and you can just walk through. If you sit here in the back, you can look through and sometimes see them flutter around. Very, very beautiful place. So that would be here in the park. The aforementioned Café Sacher lovely. This here is a small one. Kleines Café. That's what it translates to. And this might be my favorite square in Vienna. Again, just off the corner from St. Stephen. Right here. I think this might be Franziskanerplatz. There's a church there with blue tiles, which makes the whole square look kind of Italian. It's very not Viennese somehow. And then this is a really, really tiny cafe. Usually you can sit outside in the square during summer, but of course in winter you might have to squeeze in. Very cute. You might also go a little further out. We don't have to stay in the center. This is Café Goldek. You can get some Gugelhupf here. If you've ever been to France, you might get this as a specialty from the Alsace. But I think it's common across all of Germany and Austria and probably Switzerland. It's a very nice cake. I really like it. And it says this is Frau Astrid, who doesn't wear what we would call smoking, so a suit. But there's a little nod to the typical outfit of the waiters. Café Goldek is a little further out. You would have to go to the 4th district after Wien. So down here, this is where the Teresiano is. This was formerly the summer residence of the Habsburgs. As you can see, it was outside of Vienna, but that was a long time ago. So around the corner, and then here you have Café Goldek. I really like this one. I remember meeting up with a friend there for brunch, and we had a really good breakfast. It was more breakfast than brunch, I guess. And we stayed there for a couple hours, and just it was overall a very relaxing time. Then here we have Café Ritter. This is along one of the main shopping streets in Vienna, Mariahilferstraße. So it's usually quite full. Our Café Jelinek. Does this look inviting? I really like this. Everything from the red carpet to the dark wood of the chairs, the dark sofas, this beautiful light fixture. This is number 21 here in the 6th district, Mariahilf, next to Gumpendorfer Straße. And the last one would be Café Blaustern. Again, not really a traditional cafe, but I think it's worth mentioning because it says here Urbanität à la Edward Hopper. It's next to a very busy street, and you have the U6 here, the Stadtbahn, which runs above ground. It's all the way up here. And it says it feels very urban and very busy, but sitting inside, you can just enjoy your coffee and watch the world rush by. As you can see, there are a whole lot more numbers. I think this is Café Speer, which is also one of my favorites. But even when we don't have numbers like here along Währinger Straße, or here in this area, you have different cafes. Café Museum, Café Schopenhauer, Café Ministerium, that are all definitely worth a visit. And I hope if you do come to Vienna that you don't stick to the suggestions in your tourist information, because these are all definitely worth visiting. And when you go there, do order a melange for a coffee with some milk. That's what I would do. Alright, so that's it for today. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday evening. Light a candle or 2 or 3. And enjoy the quietness of December. I'll see you again tomorrow. Good night.